Well, here at CBC, we have a unique situation in that all we have is a jazz band. Our jazz band plays at the football games, and they're essentially the pep band for everything that's going on with all the pageantry and all that. And we have to fill a stadium with up to 3,000 spectators every week with sound that normally would be filled by a full 100, 150, 200-piece marching band. We have to pull that off with a 20-piece jazz band. So having a full sound system with appropriate speakers to fill that stadium is, I think, a unique thing here at our school. So how I intend to use this sound system in the classroom is to be able to record not just the band on the whole, but individual students as we're playing through the music every day. As band directors, we always hear the kids say things like, "Oh, I play that fine when I'm playing with the whole band," but they can't play it on their own. Well, this is a way, I think, for us to check that as educators. So by recording the entire rehearsal, we can go back and listen to students one at a time, address all kinds of issues from intonation to articulation to tone production, just the whole gamut of everything that we would do one-on-one. This sound system will allow me to do that, especially by recording the kids throughout the rehearsal every day. In terms of setup to use the equipment properly, one thing that I've discovered is it's really beneficial to, instead of setting up in a traditional kind of stacked jazz band set, that if you set up in a box so that the individual microphones on the students aren't picking up students behind them. So that, for example, your trombone players sitting in the middle of your jazz band setup, their mics were picking up the trumpets behind them, and if they got a little bit off from the microphone at all, it made it kind of difficult to sometimes isolate them. But by setting up in a box, they didn't have a student behind them playing, and so it really helped isolate their sound. Also, pedagogically, spreading your group out so they can hear each other a little better worked as an added benefit to that setup as well. So there is a little bit of a learning curve with the equipment, like anything new. If you're not familiar with it, that can kind of be daunting at first, but Nottelmann's and Personas did a really nice job of setting up a time to come in, help me set the equipment up the first time, go through the equipment and how it worked, especially the electronic components with the mixing board on the different settings that you have in terms of EQ and equalization, isolating the different instruments on their sound. So you had a sax EQ on the saxophones and that kind of thing. And it was simple enough that students that had never had any experience with the equipment were able to be in that session and learn the very basics of how to operate the equipment. I had previous experience with audio equipment and with recording, so I think it was important for me to see that the students could learn it from scratch almost as easily as I could. I think the other aspect of that was really helpful was that I had the ability to go back to Nottelmann and to go back to Personas when we ran into technical issues that are going to arise anytime you're using equipment. And they were also really good about helping me work through those and figure out the solution to make the software and the equipment work properly as well.